Alright, so here we go with my look at the 25th anniversary Cobra Commander figures. As you can see here, I got 3 of them out, and I actually have 2 more that are still in package. I'm not going to bother to open those 2 up in this review, but I will talk a bit about them later on when we get to them. We're going to start off first of all here with looking at the domed Cobra Commander figure, and we'll kind of just go through here and look at these sort of in the way they were released or how they appeared on the show. So this is the original Cobra Commander design or character design. He's got his little domed helmet there. Let's kind of zoom in here, look at him. Did a pretty good job with this guy. Looks very show accurate, I think. He's got the little vest there with the little buttons, red Cobra symbols painted on. He's got the gloves, the black gloves with the belt here and some pouches. Just kind of take him off his little stand. He's got a little molded on, looks like an ammo clip of some kind there on his right or left leg there. There's his feet with the red striped legs running down the side of the legs. And there's his back, and as you can see there, his gun actually can store on his back. It is removable. You can just pop it out here, and it's got a gold accented paint in there on that molding for the gun. And you can kind of see this back here is kind of like a plate, it looks like, but they didn't bother to paint the rest of it. They actually did do that, painted it on the hooded Cobra Commander, which we'll look at in a little bit. But here's his little gun, and it's pretty much a reproduction, it looks like, of the original gun, or a remolding of that gun. It does fit in his little hand here, and it holds it pretty well. So he's got his little blaster cannon there, and let's kind of pan out this a little bit. And his other hand here isn't able to hold the weapon, it's just a closed fist. So you can kind of like shake his fist at you or whatever there. And then the other feature here is his helmet is removable. You can take this off, and it's just got the domed head. I wish they would have kind of painted this like a metallic, shiny, like chrome looking paint. I think it would have looked a lot better. But it's not bad here the way it is now. But that's pretty much the Cobra Commander, the domed Cobra Commander figure here. And let's talk about the articulation on this guy. I'm only going to show this articulation once, and pretty much all the articulation is the same on these guys, or all these Cobra Commander figures that we're going to look at. But basically you can pivot the head around, I believe 360, and kind of make it go up and down a little bit. You can rotate around the shoulders 360. You can bend up and down here at the shoulders. Mine are a little stiff, like that. You can rotate at the elbows 360. You can bend them up and down. And this guy here, because he's got the gloves, it's all one solid piece, so there's no actual wrist rotation here or movement, but you can rotate the whole glove around like that. And then you got the torso here and chest can rotate around and kind of bend up and down like that. The legs here are a bit on like a ball joint, so they can rotate around, go up and down. The knees are double jointed like that, and the feet can rotate around 360, and it can pivot up and down. Mine are a little stiff, so I'm not going to fight it. And actually these don't pivot too well compared to some of the other 25th anniversary figures. But yeah, that's pretty much the range of movement and articulation for these guys here. So let's just kind of put him back on his stand. And while we're talking about the stand, let's kind of pan down and look at that. These all came with these little plastic character stands with their names painted onto it. I do wish that they would have lowered that Cobra symbol down. I think it sticks up too high and kind of gets in the way of where you can place your feet and kind of limits some of the posability. I would have liked it better if it was just painted onto the surface here on the top, like maybe a red. I think that would have looked better. Or just, you know, maybe not have it raised up quite so high. The other thing real quickly is I do have his file card here, and actually this Cobra Commander figure here that we're talking about, the domed one here, this was in the first wave of the 25th anniversary figures that came out. And what they did at the time is they had 2 5-packs or battle packs or whatever they were called, and there was a Cobra one and a G.I. Joe one. So this was the Cobra one, and there was 4 other characters that came packaged with them. And the file cards were individually packaged like this, And I like these because they're already pre-cut, so there's no ragged edges like you'd get when you cut them out yourself. And the back is like a black gloss paint on the back there. So I think that's kind of nice, and I wish they would do that with all the other individually packaged figures. Just have these inside the package with the figure. I think it'd be nicer, but whatever. But yeah, it came with the Cobra Commander, Cobra Trooper, Storm Shadow, Destro, and the Baroness. So I'm going to read off his little file card here. It says, absolute power, total control of the world, its people, wealth, and resources. That's the objective of Cobra Commander. This fanatical leader rules with an iron fist. He demands total loyalty and allegiance. His main battle plan for world control relies on revolution and chaos. He personally led uprisings in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and other trouble spots. Responsible for kidnapping scientists, businessmen, and military leaders, then forcing them to reveal their top-level secrets. Cobra Commander is hatred and evil personified, corrupt, a man without scruples, probably the most dangerous man alive. So that's his file card there, and I think that's pretty much a reprint from the original 1980s figure. I could be mistaken though. And speaking of file cards, the file card here for the hooded Cobra Commander, which I still have the package for, is actually the same exact wording as the one that I just read, so I'm not going to bother to read that one off. I just thought I'd point that out to you. As far as the domed Cobra Commander goes, there is a variant that they did, which was an individually packaged one, which is one of the ones that I have still in the package, and that's this guy right here. The only difference between this one and this guy here is that the blue is slightly darker on this guy here, and it came packaged with this accessory, which is the little canister with the radioactive crystals from the Mass Device episode. And also on the top of his helmet there, you can see it's got the silver paint stripe. So I believe this one's a little more show accurate in the way it's painted and colored, and it also comes with that accessory. Now the file card on this guy is different. The first sentence the same, and this last little paragraph or sentence down here is the same, but everything else talks about the Mass Device and how he kidnaps a scientist to, you know, help him develop it and all this and that. So I'm not going to read all that off to you. It basically is the same thing, but it just more or less is specific to that Mass Device miniseries. So that's a difference in the file cards for this guy. And let's move on to the next guy, which is the hooded Cobra Commander. And let's kind of pan in here a bit and look at him. And obviously the first thing you'll notice about this guy, other than the hood, is the coloring, which is a lot darker. It's almost a purple kind of blue or navy blue, and he's got the hood there. The body and sculpt, everything else is the same except for the head here on this guy, other than the paint apps that they did on it. But the hood here is not removable. It's just, you know, molded plastic. They did a nice job with it though. You can see his eyes in there, and if you kind of tilt him there, you can see he's kind of got like a red neck. That's kind of interesting there. Has the same sort of feature there with the gun. It can peg on, but you can kind of see there how they painted that plate and all the little details for it with the gold there. So this one's got a little more paint apps going for it than the domed Cobra Commander figure, but this is removable. The inside of the little groove here for the gun is not painted, it's just black. But again, everything is pretty much the same on this guy. The articulation's the same. You know, everything's the same on this guy, even the fist here, as the domed Cobra Commander. The only difference is the coloring and the hood. So yeah, it's pretty much the same figure, and it came with the stand too. And also, like I said, that file card for this hooded Cobra Commander is in fact the same as the one for the domed Cobra Commander. And the next guy we'll look at here is the battle armored Cobra Commander figure. And before we get started with him, let's look at his file card. Just kind of read that off a bit to you. And it's got here, it says the Cobra Commander with battle armor. It says Cobra Commander likes to be up front in the thick of the action when his Cobra Viper forces, Cobra Eels, and Sieges confront the G.I. Joe team. To protect the commander in the heat of battle, Destro had the best technical minds in his armament factory create a special suit of body armor that combines flexible bulletproof polymer fabrics with beryllium steel plate components. The entire suit is air-conditioned, solvent-resistant, and ray-shielded. The helmet is fitted with an integral comm system, internal readouts for environmental quality, and a miniaturized computer display. And then down here it says, At least we don't have to worry about Cobra outfitting whole units with these suits. Each one costs about as much as a jet fighter. The plate parts can withstand a direct hit from a heavy machine gun, and the flexible parts will stop anything up to a .367 Magnum. We suspect that the helmet has an anti-tamper device with a direct hookup to a half-pound of plastic explosives. So that's his file card, which is actually quite different, mainly talking about his battle armor there. It's quite different from the other Cobra Commander figures file cards. But let's kind of get in here and look at the detail on him. Just kind of zoom up here. And you can see there he is quite different. He's in battle armor. His helmet here is removable. You can just pull it off. And there's his head. He's kind of got like a ski mask on. And it basically looks just like Beachhead's head. So they probably just reused the same head mold from Beachhead and just painted it black. But let's put his helmet back on. And let's actually take him off the stand here. But there's his suit. And he's got a different gun here, obviously. And he's got this little like holster here that just kind of hangs off to the side there. The articulation is the same. The only real difference is you'll notice this hand here is actually molded so that he could fit the gun in there. And because he's not wearing the black gloves, he does have wrist rotation here, unlike the hooded and the domed Cobra Commander figure. And here's his legs down there. They're armored, his boots. And if you look here at the rear, he's got a backpack. I think the backpack's a little large. I think they should have maybe shrunk it down just a little bit. But he does have a backpack. And if you take his backpack off, you'll see here he's got a little bit of a like rubber hose running here from his hip onto his back. So this guy does have a little, probably a little bit more detail than the other Cobra Commanders. And he's also got his stand there, the same stand as the other ones. So let's kind of bring these guys all back together now. And let's just kind of go out a bit. So that's those three there that I have out of the package. And we looked at the other one that I have in package. And then the only other one I have in package still is this guy here, which was part of the Resolute line. You see up there, G.I. Joe Resolute. But it was released under the 25th anniversary line. If you look at the back here, you can kind of see the other figures that were in that 25th anniversary line. And then they started releasing some of the Resolute figures here, like Duke, the Cobra Trooper. And his file card is actually very different than the other ones. I'm not going to read this one off because I feel this is part of a separate series, that being the Resolute series. So, you know, maybe if I do a specific review on some of the Resolute figures, I'll get into that. But you can see here it's kind of more of a throwback to the original 80s domed Cobra Commander. And he's got the cape, a gun, a sword. It's kind of got that silver stripe still on the helmet, so more of a throwback figure in a lot of ways than what you had with the battle armor figure. So that's the other one that I have. And then real quickly, I'll do a little quick size comparison here. Being that these are the 25th anniversary G.I. Joe figures, they are actually taller than the original 3 3/4 figures. I think these are at 3 1/4 or 4 1/4, so I think they're about a ½ inch taller. But let's see, there's Destro there. I'll bring him in, kind of just put him there. So even if he was on the stand, I think he would be, you know, a little bit shorter. So yeah, it's about almost a ½ inch shorter. So yeah, I believe these are 4 1/4 inch. So, you know, they're roughly in scale though with each other, more or less. But as far as my final thoughts on these guys go, I think they're all very well done. The articulation's great on them, the detail's great on them. Being that it's Cobra Commander, he doesn't come with a lot of weapons or accessories really, but it's Cobra Commander, so you know he's the leader, he doesn't need a whole bunch of stuff. But I'd say pick up any one of these guys, depending on which version of Cobra Commander is your favorite. Probably go with that one first, but I would get all three if you can, and some of the other ones that I got there too are good or worth getting as well. But that'll do it for my look here at the 25th anniversary Cobra Commander figures.